Hello, and welcome to another edition of Your Bridge to Addiction Resources, a program that is sponsored by the Chronicles and the Council on Chemical Abuse. My name is Yvonne Stroman. I'm the Community Program Specialist at the Council on Chemical Abuse. And today we're going to talk with Dan Pfost, who is one of the prevention specialists at the Council on Chemical Abuse, about a very important prevention project that happens throughout Berks County in these schools. And so, Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. How long have you been with the Council on Chemical Abuse?
I've been with the council since March 1st of this year, so tomorrow will be the 7th-month anniversary.
Okay, all right. Well, congratulations. And so, can you talk a little bit about some of the what is your role within the council, some of the work that you do?
There's a, just like every other prevention specialist and everyone else that works at COCA, there's a lot of things that we do. So just to summarize, the program coordinator of the underage drinking program, a prevention piece for kids who are referred there by magisterial district judges throughout the county. I coordinate tobacco enforcement, which is funded through the Master Settlement Agreement. I present a presentation called Teens and Technology with local middle schools and other community organizations, talking about the connection between gaming, social media, and gambling. And then the Red Ribbon Week initiative, which we're here to talk about today.
So, well, thank you for that. And so the Red Ribbon Project, what is that?
The Red Ribbon Project began in the wake of an absolutely horrible tragedy back in the mid-'80s. There was a DEA agent by the name of Enrique Kiki Camarena who was working in Guadalajara, Mexico back in the mid-'80s and was about to uncover a multi-million-dollar illegal narcotic and marijuana operation. And unfortunately, what happened was in February of 1985, he was kidnapped, and for a month he was tortured, and then they discovered his body. And pretty much what that event did was it put the illegal drug trafficking under a microscope. Because up until that point, they didn't really realize just how much, to the extent at which these cartels and all these organizations would go to protect their product and their market. So what happened was his hometown in Calexico, California, the citizens there were obviously very distraught and they've had enough. So they started wearing red ribbons in remembrance and to raise awareness for drug and alcohol prevention, as well as in his memory. And local community organizers and politicians caught wind of what was going on, and it just began to go up and up and up the ladder, and it would expand even further out. And then sure enough, in 1988, the National Family Partnership organized the very first National Red Ribbon Week project, where President Reagan and Nancy Reagan were actually the honorary co-chair people. And so ever since then, it's just continued to grow nationally, and it's touched the lives of millions of kids in our communities.
Yeah, obviously. And in Berks County, I know that there are a number of schools that participate in Red Ribbon Week. What happens during that time? What are some of the activities that the schools are engaged in?
Sure. Well, here is a ribbon for this week, instant close-up. The theme this year is Don't Get Hooked, and there is a couple fishes there, a couple hooks with some bait on them, and the bait on these hooks, one has a cigarette, the other one is actually a PlayStation controller, and then there's a broken bottle on the floor. And so the theme this year, don't get hooked, and keeping it with the fish. One of the main points I like to put forth with the theme is fish travel in schools. So there's a group of fish, and they do that for their own protection.
Right.
So there's an activity that they do that some of the schools can do, where each of the students makes their own little fish, and so they measure that against the teacher's fish, which is a lot bigger than theirs. So their fish is small, the teacher's fish is big. The bigger fish can eat the fish, the smaller fish. The bigger fish representing drugs, alcohol, all that violence, all the bad stuff. But if you put the entire classroom of fish up there against the teacher's fish, they're larger than that fish. Right. So there's strength in numbers. You know, in recovery, there's that adage, you know, no one ever fell off the middle of a flat roof. So if you get involved and you're connected with other people, then the likelihood of you being stuck or getting eaten up by all those big bad fish, drugs, alcohol, violence, all those things, it goes down. So that's one of the activities. There's a whole multitude of activities that the schools can get involved with.
And the schools pretty much, they decide what their activity will be, but they do that in conjunction and partnership with the Council on Chemical Abuse. So are you going out to the schools to make presentations? And how many, is it all the schools that are involved in Red Ribbon Week, or is it just how many school districts are involved? I know that we have a lot, so you'll be very busy that week then.
Yes. There are 50 individual school buildings that are involved in Red Ribbon Week throughout Berks County this year, which is great. Obviously, Reading School District, a number of the elementary schools and the middle schools are involved, but all over the county, people are involved. The prevention staff got booked relatively quickly this year when it came to presenting in-class presentations. But we are certainly open for bookings for throughout the school year. And you know, the idea is just to get that, just to get the message of drug and alcohol prevention out there into the schools. You know, to help strengthen the resolve of our kids.
Yeah, and what are some of the responses from the young people when you come into the classrooms and you talk about drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and the dangers that are associated with using them? Do the kids share with you what their thoughts are about it, or what's happening in their homes? It's a great way to start a conversation. And so what's some of the feedback that you get from the young people?
Great. I take the presentation Teens and Technology into school, so I don't really talk too much about the drugs and the alcohol too much. I talk more about the gambling and the gaming aspect.
So you talk about behavioral
absolutely,
addictions.
The process addictions. But I do bring in that alcohol and drug part of it too when it comes to explaining addiction, because they can I think they have a little bit of an understanding of what the substances can do to a person's body. I don't know, Teens and Technology, when we talk about video gaming and things, there's a little bit of resistance there because they don't want to give up their phones and their and their PlayStation controllers. But you know, I think a lot of it depends on the class and the environment where we are. I just took this Teens and Technology presentation into Abraxas earlier this week, and it was such a great conversation with the guys there. You know, because they could identify with some of the pictures I had up there. You know, they were able to. You could see the wheels turn, and you know, and the way I look at my job is you know, I try to be realistic. I'm not going to save the world, but if I can help somebody think, you know, plant that mustard seed, then I'm doing my job, and that's the best part. You know, when I can see the kids thinking, like, hey, you know what? Maybe I do stay up too late sometimes, or you know what? Maybe I do drink too much caffeine when I'm playing video games. So you can kind of see that the wheels turning upstairs, which is what I like to see.
Yeah, and really to encourage young people to just kind of think about new information and how they can apply that new information to their world, and really kind of, you know, we really value in education and allowing that education to really morph so that people can create change in their lives if they need to. And I think that that's really pretty special. And how many ribbons are you dispersing during Red Ribbon Week? Which is when? I'm sorry, tell me when Red Ribbon Week is.
Red Ribbon Week, it's the last week in October.
Last week in October, okay.
So we ordered 45,000 ribbons.
Wow.
And my count as of last week was just about 30,000 that are already accounted for, but there have been more orders that have come in this week, and I'm assuming more are going to be coming in, you know, as we get closer to the event, because I haven't heard from some of the schools yet that historically participate. So,
and there's still time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
There's still time. Yeah. So how has this work, the work that you're doing in terms of prevention, how has this impacted you personally and professionally?
Making connections with local schools, different SAP coordinators, guidance counselors, etc. Anytime we can talk about prevention and collaborate to talk about prevention, we're doing good things. Because like I said, anytime we can get that message into the kids, and we're doing justice. We're doing the right thing by helping them, strengthen their resolve. And we're saving so much, not just from a financial standpoint, but in human capital. So especially in the times that we live in now, with the crisis that we're experiencing with heroin and the opiates. Now more than ever, we need to get that message of prevention out there, as well as the message of recovery, that there is a life beyond.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for all the work that you do in the field of prevention and really helping young people to change the quality of their lives. And for those that are watching this podcast, if there's more information that you'd like regarding the Council on Chemical Abuse, as well as more information about Red Ribbon Week, we encourage you to visit our website at www.cocaberks.org. That's COCABERKS.org. Or you're welcome to call our office at 610-376-8669. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. This is your Bridge to Addiction Resources. Have a great day.
Check back every week for a new story with your Bridge to Addiction Resources. You can call 610-376-8669 or visit online at cocaberks.org. COCABERKS.org. Be sure to like and follow the Council on Chemical Abuse on Facebook and Twitter.